Soft plastics have taken the fishing world by storm, and rightly so. They are easy to use, relatively cheap, and you don't have to spend hours looking for bait. Flathead are one species that inhale softies, and I've been lucky enough to nail some lovely fish on them in my hometown of Noosa. The Noosa River has a wonderful flathead population, and this afternoon's session with fishing mate Bruce Nix was a cracker. I was chasing a couple of lizards for some special recipes I had in mind, and the wily predators were not letting me down. If you fished light gear like we were, you can have a ball with these prehistoric estuary and beach dwelling creatures. The first one in the boat was well and truly over the 40 centimetre minimum size here in Queensland, but I thought that we could do a lot better than this fish that went a healthy 50 centimetres on the lie detector and fought like a demon. Check the regulations in your area, but for this one it was back to join the other flatties and let them know to send in the bigger ones. Bruce latched onto a nice bream and the session was getting hotter by the minute as this fish really put on a turn at the side of the boat. Bream are a bit picky when it comes to plastics, so a slow retrieve and wiggle is required to coax them into taking your lure. If you get it just right, you will do well in most situations, whether you are fishing oyster leases or sandbanks. This fish was well and truly legal, but we were after flathead, so back it went to hopefully give another angler some excitement. The next encounter was a beautifully conditioned fish that played up like a second-hand whippersnipper at the side of the boat and really put my light spinning outfit, 6-pound braid and 10-pound razor fluorocarbon leader to the test. This fish didn't come easy, and I was starting to wonder was I ever going to land him. There were a few more hefty runs near the boat and a bit of surface mayhem, but it was soon in the net and destined for the dinner table. Fish of these proportions are perfect eating size and are ideal for filleting, so it was time to get him ready, as I'm very particular about how I treat my fish. Quality fish like these are a treasure and should never be mistreated or wasted. Firstly, I throat my fish and bleed them out in a bucket of salt water. This is humane and keeps the flesh clean and free from blood, therefore it is much better on the dinner plate. I make a slurry from ice and clean salt water, as this will chill the body of the fish immediately and prevents the skin burning from simply placing it on top of ice. A slurry sets the fish firm and makes it easier to fillet when you get back to the ramp. Place the fish wholly into the mix so that it is completely covered, and it will be perfect for the table and will definitely keep a lot longer in the fridge. This 68 centimetre fish was still under the upper size limit of 70 centimetres in Queensland, but I find they do tend to be a bit dry when cooked. Fish of this size are invariably big breeding females, producing up to 1 million eggs per spawning, so in the true spirit of fishing, I let the big girl go free to fight another day and to go forth and repopulate our magnificent river system. Yes, you guessed it, I was on again and having an absolute ball.
This is another good fish. What a session on the soft plastics.
This was also a good eating size flatty, and it is quite okay to take a few fish home for dinner. In fact, that is what they are here for. But only take what you require for your immediate needs, and always make sure you release any unwanted fish unharmed, and please try to preserve our precious waterways. This guy was also destined for the kitchen, and it will be an ideal candidate for a great recipe. So it was into the slurry with his mate, and a great day on the water was had by all. Flathead are one of the hardest fish to fillet and skin, so I always wear a glove for protection and start from just under the pectoral fin of the flathead and make a cut until I hear a crack from the shoulder of the fish. Then it is simply a case of running your very sharp filleting knife along the backbone of the fish down to the tail until you remove the fillet in one easy motion. Skinning is a little tricky and takes a lot of practice. With a flat-bladed knife, I cut just inside the tail and slowly pull the skin towards me as I run the knife shallow along the skin until it is completely removed. This is a skill you will acquire the more fish that you skin. When it comes to removing the pin bone from the flathead, it's really quite simple. And the most important tool you can have is your finger. So simply take your finger and run it down. You'll feel where the bones are. So with a nice sharp knife, they run down to about here. We're just going to take a V slice out of there and take that completely off, and that will render this fillet completely boneless. Now, if you've got a pussycat, these little pin bones are fantastic. My little lilac Burmese absolutely loves it, so don't throw it away. And we'll do the same for the other one. I've cut these into bite-sized pieces, and I'm going to crumb them in a special mix. Because flathead tend to be very strong in flavour, I'm going to sweeten it up with a couple of special ingredients. So let's take a look. First of all, here I've got some plain flour. There's about 3/4 of a cup. I've got some beaten egg, and I'm just going to add some milk to that and give that a little whisk through, and that's what's going to make our special crumb mix stick. Let's give that a little combine there. And over here I've got a couple of cups of breadcrumbs, and to this I'm going to add some crushed peanuts, about half a cup, and some shredded coconut, and that's the ingredient that really sweetens up this concoction. Righto. Now, whenever it comes to crumbing, first things first, into the flour, roll them through so you make sure they've got a good coverage, into the egg wash. Once again, make sure that's completely covered, and you have to put them in the flour first because that is what makes the egg wash stick. And then into the mix, cover them up and roll them through that mix so the peanuts and the coconut all stick, and that is a great crumbing mix. I'm going to finish these off, clean up, and we'll be ready to cook. I've heated up my oil to 180 degrees, and it's in an insulated deep fryer for safety purposes, but you can pan fry these. So I'm going to just drop them into the deep fryer for about 1.5 minutes, and then we'll get on with a nice sauce and accompaniment. So in they go, and they'll come up golden brown. Now, while they're in the deep fry, I'm going to make a little dipping sauce to go with this. I've got 2 tablespoons of whole egg mayonnaise, and I'm going to put in a teaspoon of curry powder and a big tablespoon of pawpaw and mango chutney. And I'm just going to combine that until she's completely gone through, and that's a great little dipping sauce for this particular style of dish, or any deep fried dish that you've got with prawns. You can use scallops, bugs. This is fantastic. So we'll just mix that through. That's looking pretty good. Okay, now put that over there. Now we're going to have an accompaniment. I've got some rocket here, put some semi-dried tomatoes through that, and some bean sprouts. And we're just going to toss those around. And you've got a really nice garlic, oil and herb mix that comes through the semi-dried tomatoes, which is just perfect for this dish. And we're just going to place that down on our plate and wait until our flathead is cooked. Now these have come up a treat. They're just golden brown. We're just going to let them drain off for a second. And we've got our beautiful mix here, lots of colour, which is good. Place these on top. And there really isn't anything that tastes better than some good old-fashioned fried fish. And you'll see the peanuts and the coconut really do make an attractive accompaniment to this dish. And of course, like all my recipes, you can use this with any fish at all. And that is a flathead dish fit for a king. The piece de resistance, a good squeeze of lime juice, and that lime will soak down into the rocket and give you a fantastic dish. Well, there we have it, flathead in a special crumbing mix, and for my money, it's not bad.